Welcome to Don't Fear the Weight podcast with your host Vicky Masita, bringing together science and personal experience.
Hi guys, welcome to the next episode of Don't Fear the Weight podcast. I am your host Vicky Masita, and today I have got a really special guest for you by the name of the Natty Pro, aka Ryan Doris, or the other way around. Ryan, hi, how are you?
I'm good. Every time I hear the Natty Pro, I always kind of laugh because I kind of, you know, when you make a screen name and it's not something you take serious, and that's how I made it many years ago, and it's kind of stuck. So every time I hear it, I'm like, what? So I'm good.
It is funny. It is funny. Everybody knows you as the Natty Pro, though, which I think is really cool. I mean, my screen name is the Tiny Titan.
I like that.
So I know, yeah, but it's because I'm tiny. I'm very small. I don't know where Titan came from. I think it was just the fact that it was another T. I don't really know, but it
does sound good, yeah.
It's funny. Anyway, so Ryan, for people who don't know who you are, can you just give our listeners a little bit of a brief background and history about who you are and where you came from?
Yeah, so I'm predominantly a natural bodybuilder. Is kind of how I got my start, sort of in the fitness scene. I did it like a lot of people did, kind of like after your college sports are done. I ran track and field in college. And after that was done, you just want to kind of stay in shape. And so I got into bodybuilding. And it was just such a natural transition because in track and field, the testing procedures and like, I mean, they don't call it natural track and field, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's so stringent that it is natural. Yeah. And so I kind of wanted to go to this place that had the most similar testing standards because that's what I was used to since I was a child. And it just so happened to be like natural bodybuilding. So I got into natural bodybuilding and I liked it, right? It was easy to get good for me quickly because I already had you know, so many years of the work ethic from track and field. So I just literally learned the new knowledge and applied it over. So I did well there. I competed in a few different pro organizations, the bigger ones at the time when I was competing, like IFPA and like PNBA, they had like Universe and stuff like that. So I did some big pro shows. And then I kind of, I guess just to be totally honest, just got bored of it. You know, I was still young. I was still like 24, 25, and I was like, when am I gonna just keep going till I'm 40, trying to beat out two people? You know what I mean? Like that's really all I had left to beat. Like at that time. Yeah. And I was just like, I'm gonna do something else. And so that's kind of how I got into raw powerlifting. So drug-free powerlifting, raw lifting was just on the rise. And I had always lifted, and I was already lifting. So I figured, let me try something else. And it's come to this sort of beautiful merging of the two. And I didn't think there was going to be such thing as this power builder type athlete, but I guess I've become one, and I've become one of the ones on the forefront preaching a lot of the power building stuff athletically. So yeah,
definitely. And I love the idea that you do this powerlifting or power building. Sorry, should I say that? So can you talk a little bit more about that, what that entails? Because one of the biggest things that I've noticed with bodybuilders is that they're really not very functional. And if you tell them to go around with functional everyday life, it's not very good. So with you having a background of a track and field athlete and then moving that into bodybuilding and now raw lifting, has your background in athleticism, do you think, actually helped you gain a lot more strength while still being quite maneuverable, should we say?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think about it. I was actually just yesterday, I squatted, and I was thinking, I squatted for, I don't know what that is in kilos. It's just somewhere around like probably about 210 kilos or something like that. I was just training, right, for reps. And then everyone was like, whoa, wow. And I was like, I was doing this when I was in high school, right? So it's like I've been doing a lot of the same weights for as long as I can think that I've been training. So I think, yes, I think it was just a natural progression, right? Like things are built upon what you have had previously. So it went from obviously my college days and built on my high school days. My high school days were built on me growing up in a generation where people our age where we didn't have all the technology. And I played outside every day. If it snowed, I was in the snow every day. So like what a lot of people don't realize is like that is a form of training in a sense, like just being an active kid. So I think the combination of kind of like that long tail of just being active, like never really having a period of being out of shape in my life. Just always just being busy. I didn't even try to not be. You know, I was just always busy in some activity. And I think also too, the cool thing with this kind of power building approach is that like I was looking for the feeling of a sport, and I just honestly didn't get it with bodybuilding. I got the feeling of committing and long-term planning and like placing, but I didn't get the feel of like game day, right? Because game day on stage, it's vanity. You know, you just show up and it's kind of like, it's almost more of a beauty contest more than a sport. Come the day of, right? I mean, the whole preparation is a sport, but the day of itself is a beauty contest. So, so that's what I love about powerlifting. It gives you that feeling of come the day of in powerlifting matters versus in bodybuilding, fitness, figure. Like, it doesn't matter what you do the day of. It matters what you did before. And I think that's what a true sport is, how you perform that day. That's what I love about powerlifting. So
yeah, that's cool. I love that, having like your game face on, because it is true. It is. It's getting that game face on, isn't it? And it's like, it's all the anticipation that you can have. Yeah, I'm going to go and lift up this heavy ass weight, and it's almost like you're preparing to do that in the gym as a bodybuilder. But then when you get on stage and you're depleted and you can't really lift up a pencil, and you just like, and you still have to sit there and smile and tense, and it's just like there's no kind of anticipation for that big, huge, that lift that you want to do. Yeah,
it's anticlimactic, right? You get on the stage and then you're just like, and then like all your family and everyone's there and they're kind of looking at you like, good job, I think. I'm not really sure. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you don't have that, I guess the word would be that catharsis of just like, you know, like I let it out today. I got to do it today. So I think that's a big part of why powerlifting and CrossFit as well has been on the rise, because it gives people that, and Olympic weightlifting, I should say, that chance to be a gym weekend warrior, a common person, and get it off, right? Get it out of you, so, and not be so pent up holding a pose with your hands.
Looking like you've lost your carpets.
Right.
No, absolutely. So looking at the psychological attitude towards that, then you actually said that bodybuilding made you bored. And I really like that. So how did you manage to keep it up for such a long time then, especially when you were going through dieting? And I've seen a couple of your YouTube videos when you were saying that it really is very, very antisocial, and you have to take into account the people who are around you are getting affected by your prep as well. So how is that another reason why you kind of transitioned away from it? Do you think it had a massive psychological and emotional impact on your attitude towards?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think everyone does. I think, and that's, I think the beauty of why philosophy and psychology, to me, is so attractive, is because every human has a mastery of it. They just don't know how to put it in the terms of what they're feeling. You know, like we all feel the same emotions. We just don't know that emotion may be called an existential crisis, or we don't know, you know what I mean? Like we don't know the words for what we're feeling, but we're all equal in what we feel and how we approach things. So for me, I think I've always felt that the best way to go about everything in my life, not just sports, but I guess sports is a medium in which I speak to people around the world, I feel like understanding my own system, right? My own operating system here in my brain that was given to me, I was born with, understanding why it works and how it works, it gives me some clarity. And I think understanding a future approach and how to do things just gives me huge clarity. So yeah, I feel like I was bored not only with the stimulation of novelty, right? I feel like I had gotten to a level of mastery of it where everyone was telling me, oh man, you know, like, dude, you might be top 2 now, top 3 now, but if you keep it up, you know, in 10 years, you can be the world champ. And just to be honest, like for a 24, 25-year-old at the time, like, what do I want to invest the next 10 years for to be one? Like, what is going to be the difference between my life if I'm 3rd or 1st? And I think if people like look at the world and see how absurd some of the things they say are, they will see like, you should be honest with yourself and just know that's boring, right? Just because something is in sight doesn't mean I have to take it. So For me, it was easy, right? It was spend the next 10 years of my life chasing this first place title to say I'm the best in the world, or go and hang out with friends and powerlift and meet new people and learn a new skill and just see a new world. So I'm just a junkie, right? I'm always going to take the fix. Like, I'm always going to take the adventure. Like, I'm always going to take the new experience. And do I probably fall short of like mastery? Do I get like 90% and leave? Yeah, probably, but I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. And I'm not afraid to admit I don't care, right? So I think your life is your life, and you need to choose the path of it. And you need not fear that, oh, well, I've already invested so much and I'm almost there. And if you're bored, then fucking go, you know what I mean? And I think it's reflective in so many parts of society, whether it be people don't stay at the same job anymore, people don't stay with the same boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses anymore, gender things changing. Like, the world changes. And I think we should just be honest with yourself. If you feel understimulated, go get stimulation. There's an entire planet out there, and you don't have to be a slave to macros and antisocial behavior. Like, you can live, you can do whatever you want. I've just always realized that.
Yeah, and it's so nice to hear you saying that, because one of the questions that I was going to ask you was actually how your relationship with food has changed from being a competitive bodybuilder to now a competitive power builder, because I'm assuming that you're eating loads more.
Yeah.
And
it waxes and wanes. It goes in and out. So I feel like I'm actually in about a month and a week. So like 5 weeks, I'm turning 30. And I feel like I'm finally mature enough that I have a decent relationship with food. Like, I've never had a bad one. It's always been like really good, counting macros, like on point. I like how I look. Or just like getting donuts every night, like totally off. Like, it's always black or white. And I feel like I actually just came out with a video about this today, and the video was called Goal of No Goals. The goal of no goals. And essentially it means that, like, right now my goal is just to be good self. Like, take care of myself, take care of my heart. Like, how do I want to look in the mirror every day? How strong do I want to be? And I'm just basically trying to go for my standards. And I think I've finally kind of set a healthy relationship with food now, because I see what I want. And I think in the past it was never healthy, because it was always, I had a relationship with food, and I had that relationship for the IFPA or for the OCP or for the extended party. And I've never just said, what does Ryan want, right? So if Ryan wants to be 198 pounds or 90 kilos, or, you know, something that he wants, that's just what I'm doing at this point. So yeah, powerlifting, I think a lot of powerlifters are too fat, and I think they think it's funny, and I think they make the excuse like, oh, I'm a powerlifter fat, but it's not cute. And I don't think I don't think heart disease is funny at all. And I think powerlifters should stop that. But but you see it all the time. You see it all the time in powerlifters. They eat like shit, and they think it's funny. And yeah, it's not a cool thing. And I felt myself going a little too high in weight, and I was like, I'm too sexy to be this fat. I gotta
I love that. Weight. That's it. I want to be a sexy powerlifter. Amazing.
Like, I gotta no, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? I know my window. I know my window of sexuality as a human being, right? It's 14 to, I don't know, like 46, right? Like, that's kind of like my window. And so, like, while I'm in that window of being like a sexual being, like, why not look good? You know, like, why not? So that's it. I just want to look good. That's really no other reason. No other reason.
No, I love that. I love that. That is going to actually be my next future goal after I finish competing. I just want to be a sexy powerlifter. That is my goal.
As sexy as I can. Yeah.
I
don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah.
So, okay, just moving on slightly from that then. Do you still coach people and help them with their bodybuilding goals and athletic goals?
Do I coach people? Say that last part.
With their bodybuilding and aesthetic goals, or are you more leaning towards the power building stuff now?
So I don't know what's going on, and I'm kind of I'm actually worried about this a little bit, right? So I have I'm full-time online coaching now, right? So I've made that transition. So I was always kind of part-time meaning like 20 clients or so. And then when I was working in the supplement industry, I always had to do my supplement stuff. But now, like, I'm out, right? I'm fully content focused and I'm fully client focused. So I've gotten my clients up, and every single person is a powerlifter. And I'm like, every single one of them. I don't have one that's like not. Like, and I don't know why, but like I'm actually concerned because like I'm slowly making this switch back to like we said, getting sexy again. And I don't know how my clients are gonna take it. Like I don't know if they're gonna think I'm leaving them, or you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, maybe I'll convince them of the sexy life too or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. All of my clients are powerlifters, but I think I also make deeper connections with powerlifters too, because as I said, powerlifters are more to me true athletes than physique competitors, because they're not concerned with, they're really concerned with performance and objective numbers and a skill set. While I think it's easy to easy for a fitness or physique competitor to forget that, like, although you are the skill set and you are the tool, like, you know, we don't play with a ball or a bar, like you are the bar or the ball, the tool we play with. It is not you. You don't have to so closely identify with the bicep, with the abs. Like, they are just the tool in which we express them. They're not necessarily you. So I think they get lost in that. And they oftentimes do sometimes, but not as deeply as powerlifters connect with, I guess, the mental approach I take, because they're so, I don't want to say narcissistic, but it's more of a self-centered focus. You know what I mean? It's not bigger than them. It is them. And I think powerlifting for so many people, it is, especially with what's going on with powerlifting in women, right? Like never in the history of the world has there been women who are entrepreneurs making six figures from like from their powerlifting like stuff, and them feeling empowered and like feeling strong. Like this has never happened. You know what I mean? It's a totally new thing. So I'm excited. Like I'm totally excited for women and where this direction is going. And like, I think I connect with that much more than a girl obsessed with the post-contest rebound, to be honest, just on a connecting level, you know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely. I'm very interested in actually just delving into that a little bit more, because I mean, I did have some questions, but nothing's ever structured on these kind of things, which I prefer much better. Looking at powerlifting for women, because this podcast is obviously going out to a lot of bodybuilders, powerlifters, crossfitters and things, but I do like to focus a lot more on women, because there's never anything focused on women for bodybuilding, and there's no studies doing on it, and there's certainly nothing out there for powerlifting. So I'm interested in your approach with that. So would you quote unquote prep or coach a female in the same way that you would coach a male powerlifter?
No.
Would they have no? What are the main differences that you would go through?
So it's on a physiological level, in terms of like the science, the approach, the lifting, I coach exactly the same as I would coach a man, right? On that level. But the difference is mentally. Like I've done, I think this is like the fourth podcast I've done in like a week, and like this is my favorite one already, just because you're the only woman I've spoken to. Like and it's just a different type of energy, right? So wow, this is actually going to be much deeper than it needs to be. But so probably about a year and a half ago, I was looking at this image, and it was the artist Frida Kahlo, and she's like obviously known for like a lot of her work on like her own self, her own emotions. Like so it's big in the worldwide feminist movement, her work. And I was just looking at an image of her, just lit up a photo of her, and I was like, wow, she's kind of beautiful. And I was like, because she was kind of androgynous, right? She looked like a male, a little boy sometimes, and she was beautiful, like and I was like, wow, she could be either or. And then in that moment, like, I hate to admit this, but like something clicked, and I was like, oh my goodness, like women are humans. Like it was just like but it was just like, because I honestly do not think that like males treat women like humans. I think they treat men like men and women like women. And so in this moment, I realized, like, what if I just treated a human like a human? And like that day, like my entire approach changed. And so I think what a lot of males do, male coaches do to males, is that they're very honest with them. They're very straightforward with them. They have the classical masculine energy, shoulder to shoulder masculine energy. And then I think with women, what they do is that they actually do a disservice to them, to the women, because they treat them more dainty, like more delicate. And I think you don't know. You need to treat this human like a human. Like, they can take it. Like, they can have a baby. They can deal with your fucking abuse, dude. Like, they're strong. Like, they can take it. And so my approach has just been like, talk to these women as a human. Like, stop looking at them as a woman and being softer and things like that. The only real difference I've noticed is that men will tell you what's going on. Women will tell you, but almost in like a weird poetic way. Like, so I have a client, like this morning, she was telling me about her boat trip over the weekend or something. And like, she wasn't telling me about her boat trip as much as she was just telling me something deeply embedded in that story she wanted me to know, right? So I've realized that about women, is that you have to listen to them, because like, they are humans. They're saying the same exact thing as a male would say to me, except I can't say women, you know, I can't do things like women, oh, women are just always speaking. Like, they're expressing emotions just in the form of story or in the form of some other medium, and you just have to like listen for it. So I think with my female clients, the approach I've had to take a lot more than men is, I have to let them text me during the week. Like, I have to, sometimes if they send me like on WhatsApp, I'll let them send me a voice note, you know, because like, I've noticed the thing about women is that they are not good at piling things up, because they are so much more in tune with their own like human spirit, and men just are for the most part are terrible at it. So I think for women, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I don't treat them dainty or softer or more delicate. I treat them just as normal and fair as I would any other human, but the difference is that you have to listen to what they're saying, because they're not saying it, they're just saying it in code, which I think can be lost in this whole gender. I told you that was deeper than it should be. But.
Yeah, no, it's good though. It is good. But, you know, I was having one of these conversations with a good friend of mine, AJ Morris, and we said the exact same thing about not being able to speak to your coach because they just don't listen to you. And I find that a lot, especially with some of my online clients. They physically come to me because I am a female coach. And they just say, you know, I resonate more with you as a female because you actually listen to me. And I find it quite deeply upsetting that men don't listen. Like you said, it's almost like you said with the whole shoulder to shoulder thing with men. With men looking at women, they almost look down on them.
Always.
So they have this superiority complex, and especially if they're your coach, it's like, you know, do you know what I mean? It's like they're just going to give you a pat on the head and, yeah, you know, or a slap on the bum or something like that. Yeah, good job this week, you know? And it's quite derogatory. So it's interesting to hear that you take a different approach with women, not from the training side of things, but actually on a deeper emotional connection.
They have to be. They have to be. And I noticed that. So there was this, like, even I was in a gym the other day, and this girl was telling me about, she actually messaged me. I have a great gym that I live out in here in LA, and it's just the best community. And she sent a DM out to a bunch of people like, hey, I'm on a PR. I'm going to go for a PR. So I'm talking my deadlift. She was going for 315. And for every woman, her 315 is like every guy's, like, you know, like 405 on bench. It's like the hallmark, you know what I mean? Like, so she was, and so I don't go that early. So I was like, all right, I'll go up. I'll get like an hour earlier. So I'll go just to watch her lift. And I watched her lift. And then, you know, I told her good job and all that stuff, and I helped her through it. And I was continuing with my workout. Then she was talking to me. So what she communicated to me was her PR, her something about her job, and one more thing I can't remember. She was talking about her technique on the lift or something like that. Like, I think a lot of men hear those things and think I don't need to know that, but as I was saying, she wasn't really telling me about her job or her PR. Like, she was really telling me about, here's the journey I overcame. Like, that's what she was really telling me. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of men, if they listen to the nonsense that women say, they'll see that not nonsense. It's really just a deeper story. Kind of, it's almost like Egyptian hieroglyph in a way. Like,
Yeah.
and so it's complex, right? And so like, can you blame the male because like you
Hello,
have to?
everyone. I'm Stephen West.
Oh,
This
a
is
book has
Philosophies.
started. Sorry. So something's been going on lately where like I've been listening to audiobooks and it's just been starting on my phone. So that was
That's
weird.
so funny.
That's the second time that's happened. It just starts out of nowhere. Sorry about that. So
Cool.
so yeah, I think that's it. I think sometimes when and to any guys listening, right? So if someone's rambling on about their lifting for the day for 5 minutes, it's not about, they're not telling you about the lift. Like they're not telling you about that at all. They're sharing an emotional experience of how they had a struggle, of how they overcame something and how they triumphed it. Like that's the core message that they're trying to share. And like I said, it took me many years of my life to mature to that point and realize that's what's going on, not just nonsense. So
That's pretty good. I love that. I really love that. Okay, so apart from the connection that you have then with your female and male clients, what would you look at nutritionally wise that would be any different for women and men? And the other, yeah, let's answer that one first. Sorry, I've got like a million questions in my head now, so it's quite exciting because I like talking about female powerlifters. Would you just allow your clients to have like a macro-based plan, or leading up to game day, would you actually write them out a set meal plan that they would need to stick to?
no, I've never written out a meal plan for anyone. And I think a lot of that comes from, one, I'm not a registered dietitian, right? So I was never trained in writing meals or meal plans. But I have studied the literature enough to know, so I mean, for all I know is what your protein bolus looks like, or what branch chain in your blood branch chains, day to day, and what their blood levels should be like, and things about insulin. And like, I don't know anything about nutrition. And I think a lot of us need to start being more honest who are nutrition. I don't know anything about nutrition. Like, I know about the components of food, but I know nothing about it. So, no, I never. And two, I literally started. I did, my first show was in 2009, and by the next show, 2010, I was doing If It Fits Your Macros, right? Like, so so for as long as I've been in the game, I've never known anything else. And so I basically give, I guess, structurally how I would differ those for anyone is that structurally what I would give is, you give basic macros, obviously, for whatever the person's unique thing is. But I think where the issue stems for a lot of people is that they don't give guidelines within there, right? So obviously, like, you have to, so everything I do is based off dominant factors. Do what you can. So dominant factor is calories. If you're going to your mother's 60th birthday party, let it go. Just eat for calories that day, right? Like, fuck it. Like, just eat for calories that day. Stay within a range. And then you get more specific as it goes, right? So my biggest thing with everyone is, for a normal day, when you're at home, not doing anything, going to work, doing the same thing, you have no excuse but to give me a perfect day. Like, you should be giving me perfect days. Like, if shit happens, then lose meal timing, drop out meal timing, right? And then go for fitting it. And then if more shit happens, like, drop out meal timing and just go for trying to make sure you don't go over on carbs or hit and I just literally, you lose factors as your life progresses. And that's how I look at it, flexibly, to live a reasonable life. You know what I mean? And then I think also too, the only differences that I have in men and women is that, like, I really do talk to my female clients, like, about their cycle, because it is a real thing. Like, you feel hormonally different every month, right? So the reason I talk about it is for us to anticipate that variable and catch it, and for you not to fuck up. Because if you know it's coming and you know you're gonna feel ravenous, or you know if you're like you can stop this. Like, you can catch yourself. You can write it. Doesn't matter if you write a note on your hand. It doesn't matter if you you can catch it, right? So I think my biggest thing, especially with women, is not developing an unhealthy relationship with food. But when I say flexible dieting, I don't mean just in your food choice. I mean literally in what factor is most important for this day of your life. Like, with what's going on. Like, don't stress yourself over your protein. If you can't hit the protein, then just get your calories today. So I really try to live a a lifelong manageable approach to this, because I think that's kind of the point of it. But if you do tell me that I want to do a competition, then with everyone I am straight dead on. Like, if you say you want to compete, then we can't have time for games. But if you're living day to day trying to reach a goal, we'll ride with the bumps. And I think every coach should be a little more, I don't know, I think this hardcore stuff has got to go, because hardcore isn't sustainable. I just think we need to figure out that we're humans, and people need some forgiveness, and they need, a spanking every now and then. And they need to be fair. Like, we need to be fair with people. And I don't think of them as clients. I think of them as people, like the people living lives, so, which is hard for a lot of people to do when they get like fitness celebrity status, which blows my mind.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? It's almost like it's so difficult to find the right balance between your sport and your lifestyle. And what I found really interesting recently as well, like you were saying, the hardcore thing has got to go. When a lot of competitors walk off stage and they go into their off season, I'm talking bodybuilding now wise, obviously, but when they go into their off season and their coach hasn't set them up an off-season kind of plan to reintroduce higher calories and get their body weight back up, they literally stand in the kitchen first thing in the morning, the day after the show, and they say, shit, what the hell do I do?
Yeah.
And they literally don't know how to cope themselves.
I don't understand it, right? So I'm starting to see right now so we're kind of going into phase, I would say for as long as I've recognized it, phase 3 of online coaching. So I remember phase 1. Phase 1 was probably started around like 2006, 5, and it was hardcore Microsoft Word, do this, like it was just like do this, like the check-in system was like email once a week, very static, right? And then I think phase 2 was when social media came into play, and then we can start building community around a coach or a team, or even like what I'm doing now. Like I have a community of conversation about some of this stuff, and then I think this next phase now is going to be the only people that survive coach-wise are the people who realize like the gold rush is over. You need to be all in on your people. Like, so if you have 40 clients, you are a parent to 40 people. Like, I think about my clients every day. Like, they're in my life. Like, I text them like, hey, how was that thing you had going on, right? Because like the evolution of coaching for our industry is getting inevitably closer to that of a professional sport, of college sports, where a coach is your partner. It's a team. It's a team thing. So I think people who, moving on to this next generation, who are, one, insanely overpriced, two, don't have a culture of teaming with a person, are going to fall out of the market, and they're not going to survive, because I think the people will start seeing that there are people empathetic like us who just treat people like treat people. So I think within the next, I have to be honest, 6 years, this idea of the selfish BS coach will be gone. Maybe in some smaller countries, but definitely the leading countries, like UK, Australia, US, with this whole fitness thing, it'll be gone by then. So
yeah, I'm actually hoping that it will be as well, to be honest, because there are some coaches. Again, I did another podcast about this not so long about actually saying, is your coach actually quote unquote your coach? And it's how you actually look at that person, and if you feel inferior to that person, then realistically they are not the coach for you, and et cetera, et cetera. And I do think in this day and age, in our industry, there are so many coaches out there who put themselves on a pedestal. If they have a client that does really, really well, or wins a pro status or something like that, and then all of a sudden, they're the pro maker, and they hold themselves in such high regard that they kind of disregard the remainder of their clients, and they just have this one shining star. And so I hope you're right, actually. I hope that they will slowly start to dwindle out, and we have more empathetic coaches like ourselves that actually listen and give a shit about our clients, because that will be a healthy approach to of sport, really, let alone bodybuilding and powerlifting.
Yeah, but I think the swing will be dominant in our the one we like in our favor. But I do think there will still be those coaches forever, because I think you have to consider the psyche of self love. Like, a lot of people aren't at the point where they don't love themselves enough that they feel like some people want to be treated like shit because they haven't gotten to the point yet where they have that self-worth and self-love enough to know that they deserve it. So it's the same idea, right? It's like, we've all been in that past relationship where somebody was like cheating on us or bad to us, and we took it, right? Because we weren't mature enough to know, I deserve better, right? And so I think a lot of people will feel guilty, like that I'm overweight and I shouldn't do this, and I literally need someone to bark at me, to give me as much negative reinforcement as possible, like a Pavlovian dog, to make me to. But then they'll ultimately realize in time, like, wow, this sounds cheesy, but love is always the answer. Love is always the answer for doesn't matter, any industry, any approach, like, it always will win versus like that approach. So I think those coaches will always be there as the introductory coach for a lot of people, bad experience. But it's also where their mind is, because they feel like they need that. Like, I actually had someone who I got my MBA with, and he's signing up with me in the next few weeks to start. And some of the things he was saying about his old coaches, and he was like, man, they wouldn't. It's absurd. Like, he said they wouldn't get back to me for like 2-3 days. Like, that is an eternity in this world of internet. Like sometimes I'll forget to do emails, and then I'll get to somebody and I'll see that it was only 19 hours ago. And I'm like, oh, like, it wasn't like, but I feel so bad even after 19 hours. So, I hope people grow just in all aspects of their life and realize that you don't need to be in that situation. Loving romantic relationship or coaching, just get out of it. It's not good.
That's amazing. I love that. I love it. Well, listen, we're just about coming up on time here, and I really don't want to take up any more of your time, Ryan, because I know that you are exceedingly busy. But just very quickly, what are your plans for the immediate and long-term future? Have you got anything on the horizon that's coming up soon?
No. No.
That was a quick answer.
Well, I've always I will say this: my entire life, I've always had a big goal, a big vision. Something like that, and it's always been like really something I've always worked on. And I think I'm just finally at a point where I realize I'm correct half the time on what's going to be, and I'm wrong probably more than half of the time on what I think this big goal or vision is. So my focus it really lies in wherever this kind of current project that I'm doing with the social media thing takes me. I mean, it is cool, right? Like, I've started it, and then I'm getting seminars. I've gotten a lot for this year, so I'm doing a lot of seminars and a lot of talks. And I'm just sort of trying to become the most talented version of myself that I can be as a coach, and sort of as a content influencer. And I'm really seeing where that takes me, because I feel that when I live freely, do good work, good things happen. And when I try to define it, I'm stressed waiting for the return that I want to happen. So I've totally let go of my egotistical ideas of I need to make it this much or I need to be this, and I've just stopped envisioning any of that for myself, which sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I am truly free to just work hard and enjoy my days and enjoy my work, and it seems to be going pretty well so far. So I'm not on the streets. So.
Yeah, that's it. Keeps you out of trouble, doesn't it?
Yeah. So.
No, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Ryan. So, okay, final note then. Where can people find you and your socials and Instagram if they want to hire you as a coach, if you are taking on any more clients?
Yeah. So the Natty Pro everything, THENATTY Pro, that's pretty much, I don't have the nattypro.com actually, now that I think about it. But the Natty Pro for all of my socials, YouTube, Instagram, everything, it's the Natty Pro. The project that I'm doing, I call it Fortis EQ. Fortis is Latin for strong. I actually got a tattoo of a queen chess piece, and it says Fortis on it, and I just got it. I got it like from my mother, right? Because she was just like the strongest, most central thing in my life, and I just always liked the word Fortis. And then EQ is like emotional intelligence, the counterpart to IQ. And I feel like I'm a very dumb person in terms of IQ. But just I've always relied on my emotional intelligence to get me by in anything in life. And I feel like if we had more people speaking on emotional intelligence, and I think that falls, and I think it's cool, the project, because a lot of it has to deal with things like philosophy, psychology, sports psychology, and these things that all sort of determine decision making. So I read the books, like I read the Sartre, I read the Nietzsche, like I read all the complex stuff, and then I just boil it down into a 5 to 7 minute video that's digestible. Like that's literally my goal with this, and to get people to, because people aren't gonna read this stuff, so
No.
don't even try. So my goal is just to get them to just simple with this project. So it's a project of simplicity, but still being very clear, and I'm just having fun with it, and I can do it because, like I said, I have my coaching, right? So I have a financial income, and it's just kind of something fun. I'm not trying to monetize it really, and it's probably been one of the better parts of my fitness journey, just doing it for the love of it. So yeah, so FortisEQ.com and the Natty Pro is everything.
Fantastic. And I will put all of those links, as usual, in the comment section on the YouTube video. So, guys, if you have any questions for Ryan or myself, then please put them in the comments box, and we will do our best to get back to them as soon as we possibly can. So, Ryan, I've had an absolute blast. It's been amazing talking to you.
It's a good talk, yeah.
It was really good. I enjoyed it a hell of a lot. So thank you so much for giving up your time. And that's it from us now, guys. And we will see you next week on the next episode of Don't Fear the Weight. Thanks very much.